And unless those councillor X's and councillor Y's are there, then the body isn't quorate, it's not functional. So recently, we've been evolving this process, but recently we had a good number of people around this Adult Services Board, but Councillor X wasn't there, and so we couldn't decide anything. So we're looking at ways in which we can move, whilst it still has some legal responsibilities, as does the Children's Trust, it nevertheless will become much more partnership focused. And so, for example, on the Children's Trust, when it was slightly more independent of us, they used to be delivering some of the targets that are now within our LEA, as did the learning, what we're now calling the Learning City one. And the two groups didn't really connect up particularly well, even though some individuals on those groups were the same people. So we're now at the next level underneath this, and there's a whole lot of subgroups, as you can imagine, under each of these partnerships, which I'm not going to go into. But we're looking at sharing some of those groups. So at the next level underneath this, the Children's Trust group, which will be delivering improvements on level 2 attainment or something like that, will be the same, will be synonymous, will be shared with the group from the Learning City. So there'll be a whole lot more sharing going on because they're now connected within the partnership. But they do have their own sort of organisational structures. But
the cross-cutting partnerships, has membership been decided on already?
The cross-cutting partnership is that big long box is meant to be like a big bracket that describes those 6 groups to the left of it. So, for example, inclusive communities is almost entirely, but not exclusively, members of the VCS, and they are made up of a number of different subgroups, which probably the compact involvement, probably the community network, community development will be a part of that, and there's another 4th aspect of it which escapes me. And so that group will be very much looking at, for example, in terms of our LEA, in terms of our delivery targets, there's National Indicator 1, which is a sense of positive belonging to the city, that's done by a Moripol every now and then to take a cross section of the community to say, how positively is your experience of belonging in the city. Another one, National Indicator Set 4, is around the feeling that people have in their areas to influence decision makings, which will be very much focused around people's involvement in the area arrangements and so on. So those sorts of targets will be looked at by that group and how they might influence that and others. The local area agreement is a 3-year arrangement between 2008 and 2011, and they're renewed or refreshed every year. We've just had a meeting with Government Office to look at our first year, or our first part of the year, because we've been at it for a whole year, and to say, how is it going? Well, there's been a significant economic downturn since we set our targets last April in the number of people into employment or education or training, and so we're a bit concerned about those targets, and we also want to deliver two locally agreed targets where we discuss things. One of them is around digital inclusion. We want that very much to be an aspiration for our city, where more people have opportunities to engage through digital technology. So we might be encouraging people to find digital solutions to problems rather than traditional ones. And also another thing is the water quality, river water quality within the city isn't as good as it could be. So we've set ourselves a local target to improve that over the next 3 years. And so that local area agreement is something that's almost the reason why we're here, to do that particular thing. But it's still all a part of our 2025 vision, which everybody was engaged in for it seemed like forever, where we were looking at, what are the longer term aspirations of people of everybody in Sunderland? Where is it that we want to be eventually? And the LEA is a stepping stone along that journey. But we're not losing sight of the longer term vision, nor indeed of the rest of the 189 indicators in that bigger set. Just because it's not in it doesn't mean to say we're not interested, but we're accelerating the progress being made on those smaller number that we've chosen. with some of those LEA targets, we don't choose them. There is a national list of 189. Sorry, we choose from a national list of 189. And what exactly the baselines are and what exactly the criteria are isn't necessarily what we would like to do.
No, I appreciate
So, for example, when it came to smoking cessation, I'm personally quite keen at reducing the number of students in school who get access to cigarettes and start to smoke. And so, in a discussion with somebody else, whereas they agree that that's a good thing, it's not actually what the target is about. So you can reduce smoking all you like in schools, but the actual target, and I probably have misquoted it wrongly, but I partly deliberately narrowed it down, but I probably narrowed it down too much. But the actual words of the LEA target, which I haven't got in my head, it isn't as broad as I would like to see. But it's something which, one of the constraints that the LEA has is to try to describe something which is measurable and deliverable, sort of year on year within a particular time frame. And so that's what we're stuck with. And some of the other disappointing things is the new set of indicator targets around NI 11, I think it was, which is improving people's access to the arts, I think it is. And the Arts Council have come up with some baseline assessments of what they understand inclusion in the arts is all about. And to me, it's just disappointing because it's based on demographics rather than sort of innovative activities of VCS or schools or other groups.
My point is that in terms of delivery, it isn't just the formal programmes that will allow people to reach the target. And I think on the left-hand side, Adult Services Board and Children's Trust, a lot of the targets are actually being delivered through people like Bernardo's, carer centres running a pathfinder for them and so on. And that's why I was hoping that what you'd said was just a kind of slip of the tongue, which made it sound very formal, rather than that partnership that goes much deeper.
Well, I think is that by doing things collectively and together with the VCS is essential. And certainly the government are keen to encourage the council and the primary care trust and city hospitals and everybody else who's a holder of money to procure, to commission, to engage, to encourage, to facilitate other organisations within the VCS across the city to help deliver things that are absolutely going to influence the LEA. And so that is at the heart of what the whole thing is about. And even yeah, well, you probably know the LEA target on smoking cessation better than I do, but whatever it is, it's clear that there's going to be a whole range of things that will influence that, and we need to be more imaginative, because one of the reasons why we've chosen those 33, or the part being chosen for us, is because we're doing really badly as a city, and we've been doing really badly for a lot of years. So what we've been doing traditionally in smoking cessation and teenage pregnancy and so on hasn't worked. So we need better ideas. We need different ways of doing things. We need to come at it from a different angle. So what we don't want is more of the same that isn't making a difference. We need to understand what is being delivered that continues to make a difference and complement that by our collective imaginations, thoughts, activities and organisations that are at the heart of all of our communities. And the better we understand that, the better we can facilitate people to help us deliver those targets. We're treating the community network as an organisation, just like the others are, the council and the police and so on. So you have that credibility and authority and reason for being there right at the heart of everything that is about partnership. So they are involved at every level. And so we're looking, as we are for other organisations, for representation on all of these activities, right, without any exception for the VCS. There will be exception for other partners. And so, for example, we've got one anomaly which I'll just give you, and that is that the Sunderland Echo sit on the board. And that's a little bit anomalous because they don't really deliver things like the Teaching Primary Care Trust do and like the council do and the VCS do. But in the past,